They made you believe loyalty meant self-destruction. They convinced you that love meant bleeding for people who wouldn't even hand you a bandage. They fed you guilt until you forgot how to breathe without asking permission. That ends now. You don't owe anyone your life. Not your family, not your friends, not your partner, not your past. If they gave you life, it was a gift, not a contract. If they helped you once, it doesn't mean you're their slave forever. If they've stood beside you, it doesn't mean you're chained to their side until you rot. Your time is yours. Your energy is yours. Your future is yours. If someone is not building with you, they're breaking you. If they're not pouring into you, they're draining you. And no one is entitled to keep taking from you because they once gave you something. Stop being the good one. Stop thinking that being reliable means being available for abuse. Stop letting people call it love when it's control. You think walking away makes you cold? No. Walking away makes you free. Cold is staying and pretending it doesn't hurt. Cold is knowing they're breaking you and letting them keep going. Freedom is the warmest thing you'll ever feel, and it's bought with the coldest decisions you'll ever make. You've been trained to feel guilty for saying no, to explain yourself every time you pull back, to write paragraphs when all that was needed was silence. But silence is the language they can't twist. Silence is the wall they can't climb. Some people only love you when you're useful. Some people only come around when you're strong enough to carry. They're shit. They disappear when it's your turn to need something. They vanish when you break. And you still think they deserve to stay in your life? Loyalty without respect is just slavery, and you've been kneeling for far too long. The truth is, you already know who needs to be cut out. You've replayed the conversations in your head. You felt the knot in your chest every time they show up. You made excuses for them because facing reality felt heavier than living the lie. But lies don't just weigh you down, they bury you alive. And when you finally leave, they'll say you changed. They'll say you became selfish. They'll say you forgot where you came from. Good. Let them talk. Because you're not leaving to make them understand. You're leaving so you can finally breathe without their hands around your throat. You don't owe them closure. You don't owe them one last talk. You don't owe them a warning before you disappear. If they cared, they would have seen the damage long before you walked. Stop being addicted to explaining yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. They don't want to get it. They want control. And the only way to win that game is to stop playing. There's a version of you that still believes in fixing this. That version of you is weak. That version of you dies today. You don't fix leeches. You burn them off. You don't fix poison. You spit it out. From now on, every move you make is for you, not for their approval, not for their comfort, not for the image they've built of you in their head. You're going to feel the pull, the guilt, the fear, the old habits trying to drag you back. That's normal. That's the addiction breaking. But every time you feel it, remind yourself, I don't owe anyone my life. People will call you heartless for leaving. Let them. Because the truth is, you had to kill the heart they kept, stabbing just to survive. This is not cruelty. This is survival. This is not selfishness. This is self-respect. You don't owe them your time. You don't owe them your energy. You don't owe them the parts of you that take years to rebuild. If they wanted to keep you, they should have protected you. If they wanted your loyalty, they should have earned it every day. If they wanted your presence, they should have made it a place worth staying. You've carried enough weight for people who would never lift a finger for you. You've watered relationships that left you bone dry. You sacrificed your peace to keep people comfortable in their chaos. That chapter is over. From here on, you walk without looking back. Not because you don't care, but because you finally do. Not because you're done loving, but because you're done loving people who make you hate yourself. Cut them off mid-sentence. Block the number. Delete the photos. Throw out the memories. Do it without ceremony. Do it without warning. Do it without guilt. You don't need their permission to leave. You don't need their blessing to heal. You don't need their understanding to move on. You are not responsible for how they feel when you finally protect yourself. You are responsible for saving the only life you've been given. So save it, guard it, value it, and never again hand it over to someone who treats it like it's disposable. They didn't break you. You broke yourself by staying. And now, you're done. You don't need to prove them wrong. You don't need to defend yourself. You don't need to explain why you walked away. The second you stop talking, you take away their oxygen. The second you stop reacting, you take away their power. You want cold revenge? It's not screaming. It's not fighting. It's not sending long messages they'll screenshot and twist. It's silence. Pure fucking silence. They want you loud because loud is emotional. Loud is desperate. Loud gives them something to twist, something to use. Loud keeps you in their game. But silence? Silence flips the table. Silence is when you're no longer playing. They can talk, they can post, they can gossip, they can spin stories. You stay quiet. Not because you're weak, because you've already won. The truth doesn't need a microphone. It doesn't need an audience. It doesn't even need to be spoken. The truth stands on its own, and time has a way of making it impossible to ignore. Every second you stay silent, their lies start to rot. They will repeat them over and over, but repetition won't save them. The more they speak, the more desperate they sound. The more desperate they sound, the more the cracks start to show. And here's the real killer. You don't have to lift a finger to expose them. You just vanish. You just keep moving forward, stacking wins, stacking discipline, stacking the life they'll never touch again. That's what burns them. Not your anger, not your tears, not your rage-filled rants. What burns them is your absence, your complete emotional unavailability. They expect you to fight for your name. They expect you to beg people to see the truth. They expect you to make noise, but you give them nothing. You're not here to clean up the mess they made. You're not here to convince anyone. You're not here to protect people from believing bullshit. If they believed it, they were never with you to begin with. If they turned their back on you, let them keep walking. If they needed lies to leave you, be glad they're gone. Your silence is the funeral for every fake connection you ever had. It buries the liars, the manipulators, the backstabbers, without you even showing up. Do you know what happens when you stop chasing? The game ends. The mask slips. The people who built their identity on hurting you suddenly have nothing to feed on. And when they can't feed, they starve. They start to turn on each other. They start to expose themselves without even realizing it. You don't need to fight. You don't need to defend. You just need to cut the cord and walk away. Some people think silence is weakness. They think if you're not clapping back, you're scared. No. Silence is strategy. Silence is control. Silence is the calmest form of violence, because while they're stuck in yesterday, you're already in tomorrow. While they're arguing over the past, you're building the future. And that's the one thing they can't stand, you moving on without them. Here's the brutal truth. The people who hurt you don't want to see you destroyed. They want to see you stuck. They want you trapped in the same emotional prison they left you in. They want you repeating their name in every sentence so they can feel important again. Stop giving them that. Stop feeding the fire. Stop making them relevant. When you go quiet, you take your energy back. When you go quiet, you stop playing by their rules. When you go quiet, you force them to live with themselves. And that's a hell no one escapes. You think they sleep peacefully? They don't. They replay every word they said. They wonder if people are starting to see through them. They question why you haven't reacted yet. That's when they realize they're not in control anymore. You are. You control your attention. You control your time. You control your peace. And if someone has to burn you to feel alive, cut off their supply, let them scream into the void, let them drown in their own noise. You're not running PR for people who stabbed you in the back. You're not handing out second chances like candy. You're not softening the blow for people who tried to ruin you. You're building in silence. You're healing in silence. You're winning in silence. They'll hear about it. They'll see it eventually. But by the time they do, they won't even have the right to speak your name. And that's the sweetest revenge, making them irrelevant without ever saying a word. Your silence is the loudest fuck you will ever give. And you don't need to shout it. You just need to live it. You want the truth? Love didn't ruin you. They didn't destroy you. You did. You ignored the signs. You saw the red flags and painted them white because you were too scared to be alone. You kept giving chances to someone who didn't deserve the first one. You lowered your standards because you thought love was about sacrifice. No, it's about respect. And the second you traded respect for attachment, you handed them the knife. You weren't a victim of their betrayal. You were a volunteer. You put yourself on the cross and begged them to crucify you because it felt better than walking away. That's on you. Every sleepless night, every tear, every time you caught them lying and forgave them, that was your choice. Don't twist it. Don't call it loyalty or commitment. Call it what it was, weakness. And weakness is what kills you long before heartbreak does. Stop blaming love like it's some supernatural force that took over your mind. It was you. You kept letting them back in. You kept believing words instead of watching actions. You kept thinking you could fix someone who didn't even want to fix themselves. Here's the part you don't want to hear. You taught them how to treat you, and they learned you'd accept less than you deserve. Love isn't pain. Love isn't chaos. Love isn't disrespect dressed up with flowers and fake apologies. That was you settling for scraps because you didn't know your worth. You broke yourself when you decided their comfort was more important than your boundaries. You broke yourself when you stayed quiet instead of calling out the lies. You broke yourself when you confused being needed with being valued. And the moment you realize that is the moment you take the power back. Stop thinking the damage came from them. It didn't. The damage came from the mirror. The reflection staring back at you that decided to compromise, to shrink, to beg for love from someone who wouldn't even give you the time of day if you stopped serving their needs. They didn't kill your self-worth. You handed it over and let them walk away with it. That's the bad news. The good news, you can take it back, but not the way you think. You don't take it back by texting them, by proving your worth to them, by showing you've changed. You take it back by cutting the rope. No warning, no goodbye, no grand speech. Just gone. Blot them. Forget them. Bury every excuse you made for them. You don't wait for closure. You close it yourself by realizing they were never worth the weight you carried. Understand this. They will never respect you if you keep forgiving them. They will never value you if you keep showing them you're available after every betrayal. People value what's rare. You made yourself cheap by being too available. That ends now. The next time someone crosses you, there is no second chance. The next time someone lies to you, they lose access permanently. The next time someone treats you like an option, you treat them like a stranger. You've been through enough. You've bled enough. You've handed out too many keys to people who only came in to destroy the place. Love didn't break you. You broke yourself by refusing to walk away. But now you get to rebuild. Not for them, not for anyone else. For you. You raise your standards so high that half the people you've dealt with couldn't even reach the front gate. You stop letting history justify presence. Just because you've known them for years doesn't mean they deserve another minute. You stop tolerating almost good enough. And most importantly, you stop thinking love is rare. It's not. Self-respect is. And the day you put that above everything is the day you stop bleeding for people who wouldn't spit on you if you were on fire. This isn't about becoming cold. This is about becoming untouchable. They can't hurt you if they can't reach you. They can't break you if you never hand them the pieces. You don't need revenge. You don't need to prove anything. You don't even need to explain yourself. Your silence will do all the talking. Your absence will make the loudest noise. Your new life will make them regret every single time they took you for granted. Because here's the truth. The most brutal thing you can do to someone who thought they owned you is to make them irrelevant. Love didn't break you. You did. But now you're the one who decides who gets in. And most people, they never will. And the final lesson, if you ever let someone drag you back into hell, you're not a victim. You're just addicted to the fire. So put it out, for good. They can only destroy you if you keep handing them the match. They thought you'd always be there. They thought they could put you on the shelf, pull you down when they were bored, and you'd still smile like nothing happened. They thought. Wrong. You are not a placeholder. You are not their safety net. You are not the thing they crawl back to when the world spits them out. If they couldn't value you when you were there, they damn sure don't deserve you when you're gone. You don't need to announce your absence. You don't need to warn them. You just vanish. You take your time, your energy, your presence, the currency they never paid for, and you cut it off. No explanation, no grand speech, just gone. That's how you win. The The moment you stop giving them another chance, their whole world changes. They don't see it at first. They're too arrogant, too distracted, but it will hit. And when it does, it will burn. They'll check for your name. They'll scroll back through old messages. They'll look for the version of you who used to drop everything just to keep them happy. But that version doesn't exist anymore. You killed it. They gambled with you like you were replaceable. Now they get to learn that you're not, and you won't be there to watch the lesson unfold. That's the beauty of it. Your revenge isn't in confrontation, it's in absence. Your absence will echo louder than any words you could ever say. People like that don't miss you because they loved you. They miss you because they lost control over you. They miss the version of you they could manipulate. They miss the comfort of knowing you'd forgive them. So stop thinking their regret is about love. It's about power. And you took it back. You're not an option. You're the final fucking choice. And once you're gone, there's no coming back. You have to get cold about this. Stop answering. Stop checking. Stop caring. Cut the cord and seal the wound with steel. Because the second you leave even the smallest door open, they'll crawl back in. And the problem with letting the wrong person back is they never come alone. They bring the same old disrespect, the same old games, the same old pain. You don't need a repeat. You don't need a sequel to a nightmare. The strength is in staying gone, in building a life so untouchable, so guarded that they can't even find a crack to slip through. You stop being reachable and you start being unforgettable for all the right reasons. And when they finally realize you're serious, it won't be during some dramatic showdown. It'll be when they open their phone at 2 a.m. thinking they can call you and they see your name's not even there. It'll be when they scroll past something you've done, bigger, better, stronger, and know they'll never be part of it. It'll be when they sit in the same place you once stood and realize how empty it feels without you. That's what happens when you're not an option. You're the exit. You're the moment they realize they just lost the one person who would have done anything for them, and it's permanent. This isn't about pretending you don't care. It's about truly not caring anymore. It's about moving so far forward that the past is nothing but background noise. And the people who mistreated you, they fade. The beautiful thing about walking away without warning is you never give them the satisfaction of a final word. They don't get closure. They don't get to twist the story. They don't get to feel like they ended things on their terms. You end it silently, permanently. And here's the part they never see coming. You don't replace them with someone else. You replace them with yourself. You take all that time you wasted on them and pour it into you. You become sharper, smarter, colder. You stop being the version of you that begged to be seen. You become the version that doesn't need to be noticed. Because once you stop playing the role of available, you start playing the role of untouchable. And there's no going back from that. This isn't about bitterness, it's about boundaries. It's about making sure no one ever looks at you again and thinks they can treat you like a backup plan. You teach people how to treat you by what you allow. And the moment you stopped allowing their disrespect, you taught them the most important lesson of all. You are not an option. So let them feel the absence. Let them scramble. Let them spin their little stories about why you're gone. You won't be there to correct them, and you won't care if they're wrong. The truth is simple. You left because you finally saw your worth. And the second you saw it, you refused to stay where it wasn't valued. That's power. That's freedom. That's the kind of move they never recover from. So the next time someone treats you like a choice, remind yourself you're the exit. And when you walk, you don't look back. Your revenge isn't in making them sorry. It's in making yourself untouchable. You've been told to heal. You've been told to let go. You've been told that time will make it better. That's a lie. Time doesn't heal. Time just makes the pain quieter until something rips it open again. The only real change happens when you decide the pain isn't here to break you. It's here to weaponize you. Stop running from it. Stop treating it like a sickness you need to cure. Pain is your new fuel. You either consume it or it consumes you. Every betrayal, every backstab, every night you spent staring at the ceiling wondering why the fuck you weren't enough, that's raw energy. Uncut, untamed, and you're wasting it by crying into pillows and scrolling through your own regrets. Good, you're angry. Good, You're bitter. Good. You can't sleep. Now channel that. Turn the insomnia into work. Turn the rage into repetition. Turn the heartbreak into hunger. You think winners are calm? You think the strongest people in the room are the happiest? Fuck no. The most dangerous ones are the ones who learned how to turn their damage into drive. You've been humiliated? Perfect. You've been underestimated? Even better. The second you realize pain isn't your enemy, you'll stop hiding from it. You'll start building with it. Pain will wake you up earlier than any alarm. Pain will keep you in the fight longer than any motivation video. Pain doesn't run out. You can tap into it anytime you want. Stop wishing you felt nothing. Feeling nothing makes you weak. Feeling everything and still moving forward makes you untouchable. If they betrayed you, keep that image in your head while you work. If they left you, remember the emptiness when you train. If they laughed at you, hear that laughter every time you're about to quit. They think you're done? Let them. They think they broke you? Let them. Pain is patient. Pain is silent. Pain doesn't need applause. And if you learn to love it, it will turn you into something they can't predict and sure as hell can't stop. You don't get discipline from comfort. You don't get grit from success. You don't become unstoppable by being loved all the time. You earn those things in the fire. You earn them when you're bleeding inside but still moving forward. Remember every time you begged for someone to care. Remember every time you explained yourself to deaf ears. Remember every time you bent over backwards to be understood. That's done now. You're not explaining anymore. You're not asking anymore. You're not waiting anymore. You're not healing. You're upgrading. You're not moving on. You're moving up. You're not over it. You're using it. Let pain harden you. Let it rip out your hesitation. Let it burn away your softness until nothing is left but focus. Because when you're in pain, you can't be distracted. Pain doesn't care about gossip. Pain doesn't care about comfort zones. Pain doesn't care about opinions. You care too much about being understood. You care too much about being forgiven. That's weakness. The only thing you need from pain is the lesson. The lesson is never again. Never again will you let someone waste your time. Never again will you give them easy access to your energy. Never again will you show them your breaking point. Every hour you spend thinking about what you lost is an hour you could have been building what's next. You can't control the people who hurt you, but you can make sure they never see you down again. Not because you moved on, but because you rose so far above them that they can't even reach to pull you back down. So stop trying to make sense of it. Stop wondering why. Stop replaying it like some tragic fucking movie in your head. It happened. You're still here. That's your advantage. Now sharpen it. Pain will outlast your motivation. Pain will keep you sharp when the excitement fades. Pain will remind you that you have something to prove, not to them, but to yourself. This isn't about revenge. Revenge is too small. This is about becoming the kind of person who never needs it. Because when you take pain and turn it into progress, they've already lost. They just don't know it yet. Every rep, every late night, every sacrifice, they don't see it. They don't hear it. They'll think you disappeared. Good, that's the point. When they finally notice you again, it'll be too late. You'll be untouchable. You don't run from the fire. You stand in it. You breathe it in. You let it burn the old you to ash. And when you walk out, you don't smile. You don't speak. You don't explain. You just keep moving. Pain built this version of you, and pain will keep building you until there's nothing left to break. Stop crying about the fire. Become it. You keep letting them in because you're addicted to the pain. You think blocking someone is enough, but it's not. Deleting a number doesn't erase the crack in your walls. You have to close every door they've ever used to get to you, and then burn the house down. They can't hurt you if they can't find you. They can't manipulate you if you're a ghost. You don't just cut them off. You erase the version of yourself that ever answered their calls. Every time you let someone have access to you, you give them the power to waste your time, to poison your mood, to slow down your grind. Why? Because you're still leaving the door open just in case. Just in case they've changed. Just in case they're sorry. Just in case they finally see your worth. Fuck that. If they didn't see it when they had you, they'll never see it now. And even if they did, it's too late. You think closure is a conversation. It's not. Closure is when you stop caring what the answer is. Closure is when you don't even notice they're gone. The real power isn't in telling them off. It's in not needing to tell them anything. Silence is the cleanest kill. No reaction. no warning, no proof you even heard them. You have to become unreachable, not just in the phone book, not just on social media. Unreachable in your mind, unreachable in your emotions, unreachable in the version of your life that had space for them. People can't ruin you if they can't touch you. And touch isn't physical, it's emotional access. It's the right to speak into your mind, your plans, your peace. You strip that away and they're just background noise. Stop thinking you owe people updates on your life. Stop thinking you need to defend yourself against lies. Stop letting your enemies watch your progress like a free show. You don't post for them, you don't text for them, you don't exist for them. Your boundaries aren't suggestions, they're walls with no door. They're passwords no one has. They're a new number, a new life, and a new set of rules. The people who betrayed you will try to test the lock. They'll knock when they're bored. They'll poke at the past to see if you're still weak. Don't answer, not with words, not with looks, not with feelings. Because the moment you respond, you've given them proof they still matter. And once they know that, they will dig into that weakness until it's bleeding again. They can't hurt what they can't reach. So make yourself unreachable. Not out of fear, out of discipline, out of self-respect. The old you would have kept the door cracked. The old you believed in giving people another chance. The old you thought love meant forgiveness, even when it meant destroying yourself. The old you is dead. You buried them the day you decided you were done being a target. From now on, there's no back and forth. There's no, let's talk it out. There's no, maybe things will be different this time. There is only forward. And forward doesn't have their name on it. If they wanted to keep you, they should have respected you when they had the chance. If they wanted access, they should have earned it. They didn't. So they're out. Permanently. Not on probation. Not on hold. Gone. You don't just leave them behind. You leave behind the part of you that tolerated their shit. Because if you don't, you'll invite the same type of person back in a different body. Cut them off in every dimension. In person, online, and in your head. No second chances. No accidental run-ins. You don't wait for them to move on. You make sure they can't find you even if they try. This is how you win. Not by proving you're better. Not by showing them how great your life is now. But by being so far gone, so out of reach, that they're screaming into the void. And the void doesn't answer back. Your peace is not a public space. Your mind is not a playground. Your time is not for rent. They don't get to watch you heal. They don't get to watch you rise. They only get the silence and the consequences of losing access to you. So stop waiting for the perfect moment to cut them off. Stop waiting for the apology that will never come. Stop waiting for proof they've changed. That's not your business anymore. Your only business now is protecting the empire you're building in silence. And an empire doesn't send invites to the people who tried to burn it down. They can't hurt what they can't reach. So build walls, build distance, build a life so high above them that they can't even see it. Let them wonder, let them guess, let them talk. And when they finally realize they have no way in, that's when you've already won. You don't argue with ghosts. You don't debate with the dead. You don't try to explain yourself to people who already buried you in their minds. If they walked away, let them keep walking. If they lied about you, let them choke on their own lies. If they betrayed you, let them live in the filth they created. The moment you start defending yourself to people who never cared about the truth, you've already lost. Because this isn't about truth for them, it's about control. They don't come back to apologize. They come back to pull you back into the pit they crawled out of. You know what arguing with ghosts does? It drags you back to the cemetery you fought so hard to escape from. It reopens graves you sealed with your own blood. It forces you to breathe the same air you almost died in. Ghosts feed on attention. They thrive on knowing they can still get a reaction out of you. The second you reply, the second you explain, the second you try to prove something, you give them life again, and you start dying all over. You got better things to do than resurrect the past. You got better wars to fight. Your energy is too expensive to spend on people who already showed you they're cheap. They'll say they've changed. They'll say they've been thinking about you. They'll say they miss what you had. Of course they do. They miss the version of you that tolerated their bullshit. They miss the version of you that answered every text, picked up every call, and swallowed every insult. That version of you is dead. The truth is brutal. They don't miss you. They miss their control over you. And the second you let them back in, they'll prove it. You've seen the pattern before. You know the cycle. They hurt you, they disappear, they return, they smile, and they drain you all over again. You're not their comfort zone anymore. You're not their safe backup. You're not the one who listens to their excuses at 2 in the morning while they still treat you like shit at 2 in the afternoon. You are done being the soft place for people who keep throwing knives. You are done explaining your boundaries. You are done hoping they'll finally get it. They won't get it. They never wanted to. People understand exactly what they're doing. They just don't care enough to stop. And here's the thing you need to accept. You don't need closure from someone who burned the bridge. You don't need the apology you'll never get. You don't need the explanation that will only be another lie. What you need is silence. The kind of silence that screams you don't exist to them anymore. The kind of silence that says, I am not playing this game with you. The kind of silence that feels like a locked door they'll never have the key to again. You don't announce that you're done. You don't make a speech about why you're walking away. You don't post a goodbye. You vanish. Cold, clean, permanent. Because when you argue with ghosts, you keep their memory alive. When you respond, you remind them that they still matter. When you engage, you give them the satisfaction of knowing they still have you on a leash. But when you go dark, when you become untouchable, unreachable, unreadable, they rot. They feel the weight of your absence. They realize the control is gone, and they hate it. That's the point. The real revenge isn't proving them wrong. It's making them irrelevant. It's building a life so far removed from their reach that even if they screamed your name for the rest of their life, you wouldn't hear it. It's being so far ahead they can't even find your shadow. You don't argue with ghosts because ghosts can't touch the living. And you survived too much to let the dead pull you back into the ground. They had their chance. They blew it. They showed you who they were, and you believed them. So you bury them, not with flowers or kindness, but with distance and indifference. And if they ever try to come back, you give them nothing. No words, no reaction, no piece of you to hold on to. That's how you win. By not playing, by not giving them a single reason to think they still matter in your world. Because the truth is, they don't. And the sooner you accept that, the freer you become. You don't argue with ghosts. You don't explain to people who are never listening. You don't bleed for people who left you to die. You keep moving. You keep building. You keep living. And you let them haunt themselves. They don't respect words. They don't respect promises. They respect results they can't ignore. That's why you keep your mouth shut. That's why you stop announcing every move. Because every time you open your mouth, you give them a blueprint to sabotage you. You don't owe them updates. You don't owe them proof. You owe yourself the discipline to shut the fuck up until you've built something so solid it crushes their doubt by existing. You think they're rooting for you? They're not. They're watching, hoping you slip so they can whisper, I knew it. Let them wait. Let them choke on the silence. Respect isn't given to the loudest person in the room. Respect is handed reluctantly to the one they can't figure out. The one they can't predict. The one who moves so quietly that by the time they realize what's happening, it's already too late. Your progress is not public property. Your grind is not entertainment. You don't post the seeds, you post the forest. Until then, they get nothing. Because here's the truth, people don't sabotage what they don't see. They can't block what they don't know exists. They can't envy what they can't measure. So stop feeding them. Starve their curiosity until they forget you were even in the race. Every fake friend, every two-faced supporter, every person who smiled to your face and laughed behind your back, they don't deserve to know a damn thing. You keep them in the dark. You work in the dark. You win in the dark. And when you step out, it's not to brag. It's to end the conversation. One win, one undeniable result, no warning. Let them wonder how you did it. Let them make up stories. Let them think it was luck, timing, fate, because deep down, they'll know the truth. You outworked them. You outlasted them. And you did it without their approval. This isn't about revenge. It's about positioning. When you move in silence, you give yourself space to adapt, to fail privately, to rebuild without their noise in your head. That's where real respect comes from. Control. Control over your mouth. Control over your emotions. Control over what they know and when they know it. You can't earn respect begging for it. You can't earn it explaining yourself. You earn it when you don't need it. When you walk into the room and the energy shifts, not because you spoke, but because your presence makes it impossible to ignore you. Most people waste their power broadcasting every step. They need the likes, the comments, the validation. They're addicts to approval. But you're building something bigger than a moment. You're building something that will outlive the noise. And you can't do that if you're performing for the crowd, because the crowd will turn on you the second you stumble. One failure and they'll rewrite your story. So you give them nothing to rewrite. You train when no one's watching. You study when no one's cheering. You bleed when no one cares. You become a machine that needs no witness. They'll forget about you. Good, let them. Because the day you reappear, you won't be the same person they underestimated. You'll be unrecognizable. You'll be undeniable. And here's the part they'll never admit. They'll respect you more for making them irrelevant. They'll respect the discipline it took to disappear and come back a different animal. They'll respect the fact that you didn't need them and you proved it. But by then, their respect won't matter. Because once you've built in silence, you realize the only respect you needed was your own. So stop talking, stop proving, stop feeding the mouths that bite your hand. Respect is earned in the dark. And when you finally turn on the lights, it blinds them. People don't cross lines by accident. They do it because you left the door unlocked, because you laughed it off, because you wanted to keep the peace more than you wanted to keep your self-respect. That ends now. Your standards are not suggestions. They are not preferences. They are fucking laws. Break them and you pay in blood. And don't kid yourself. Every time you let something slide, you're teaching them they can get away with more. You're telling them you'll take less than you deserve. That's why they keep pushing. People are predators by nature. Some are soft predators, some are wolves. But all of them will test how far they can go before you bite back. If you don't bite, you're food. Stop thinking kindness will save you. Kindness without boundaries is self-destruction in slow motion. Standards are armor. Without them, you're naked in a war zone. You think love protects you? You think loyalty shields you? No. Only rules protect you. Rules that you do not break for anyone. If you say you won't tolerate lies and you catch someone lying and you let it go, you've just told them lying is fine. If you say you won't take disrespect and you let it slide because they didn't mean it, you've just set the bar in hell. They don't need to mean it. They just need to know you'll accept it. And here's the worst part. When you have no standards, you attract people who need you to have none. Abusers love someone who bends. Manipulators love someone who makes excuses. Leeches love someone who's afraid to cut them off. Your lack of standards is a welcome mat for the worst kind of people. So make them choke on your silence. Cut them mid-sentence if they cross the line. Walk the fuck out and never come back. They'll call you cold. They'll call you heartless. They'll call you changed. Good, you're not here to be liked. You're here to be untouchable. Standards aren't just about how others treat you. They're about how you treat yourself. If you say you're going to work out and you don't, you just told yourself you can't be trusted. If you promise yourself you'll focus and you scroll instead, you've broken your own armor from the inside. Self-respect is built the same way you build muscle. Repetition, consistency, refusal to quit. When you stop keeping promises to yourself, you stop believing you're not worth keeping promises for. That's how you slide into mediocrity. That's how you wake up one day surrounded by people and situations you swore you'd never accept. This is the truth. You will never rise higher than your standards. If you want better, you have to demand better. First from yourself, then from everyone else. And yes, you will lose people. You will lose comfort. You will lose the fake love that made you feel safe while it drained you dry. But what you gain is worth it. You gain peace. You gain strength. You gain the ability to sleep at night knowing you didn't sell yourself cheap. You cannot have high self-worth with low standards. You cannot have peace while making exceptions for people who thrive on chaos. You cannot become strong while letting weakness walk all over you. So decide, right now, what is non-negotiable. Not, I hope they don't. Not, I'd prefer if they didn't. Non-fucking negotiable. Write it down if you have to. Burn it into your brain. When someone crosses that line, they are done. No debates. No second chances. If that sounds harsh, remember, the world doesn't stop being harsh to spare your feelings. People will always test you. Always. It's not personal, it's human nature. But you can make it personal when you decide they will never test you twice. Your standards will offend the ones who can't meet them. Good. Let them leave. Your standards will scare the ones who benefit from your weakness. Good. Let them fear you. Your standards will isolate you from the majority. Good. That's where the strong live. The day you stop breaking your own rules is the day you stop bleeding for people who wouldn't bandage you back. The day you start living by your own code is the day you become dangerous. Not because you can hurt people, but because no one can hurt you without paying the price. Remember this, just this once, chips away at who you are. Every time you bend for the wrong person, you lose a piece of yourself you'll have to fight to get back. And not everyone wins that fight. Standards are not walls to keep love out. They are gates to keep rot from spreading inside you. Without them, you're not open-hearted, you're open target. So raise them, enforce them, defend them like your life depends on it. Because it does. If they can reach you, they can ruin you. So make damn sure they never reach you without earning it. They can't control you when you stop giving a fuck. They can't hurt you when nothing they say matters. They can't drag you back into hell. When you've already burned the bridge and salted the ground, the world feeds on your reactions. It feeds on your need to be liked, to be understood, to be accepted. It thrives on your weakness, the part of you that still wants them to see your worth. The moment you kill that part, you walk free. You've been lied to enough to know the pattern. They use you, then they act like they're the ones who've been wronged. They push your buttons, and you push back, and that's exactly what they wanted. Every argument, every defense, every "but let me explain" is you handing them the weapon to stab you. Again. So you stop. You stop explaining. You stop reacting. You stop caring. Not because you're weak, not because you've given up, but because you finally realize the only way to win is not to play. When you don't care, they lose their power. The insults fall flat. The games collapse. The manipulation dies in silence. You become a mirror that shows nothing. They can scream into it all they want. Nothing echoes back. That's when the real panic sets in for them. They realize they can't reach you anymore. You start to see people for what they are. Some are leeches dressed as lovers. Some are cowards dressed as friends. Some are opportunists dressed as family. When you stop caring, you stop pretending otherwise. You stop chasing closure. You stop waiting for apologies that will never come. You stop hoping they'll see your value. Your value is not a negotiation. Your worth is not up for debate. You learn to operate in silence, to move without broadcasting every step, to succeed without sending invitations to your victory. When you stop caring about who notices, your wins multiply. People will call you cold. They'll call you arrogant. They'll call you heartless. Good. Let them. The opinions of the irrelevant are irrelevant. Caring is expensive. It costs your time, your focus, your energy. Most people don't even deserve your attention, let alone your emotions. When you stop paying that price, you become rich in something better. Control. Control over your mind. Control over your peace. Control over your damn life. They can try to bait you. They can try to guilt you. They can try to pull you back into the mess. But they're not talking to the same person anymore. They're talking to a version of you that doesn't even exist. When you stop caring, you become unpredictable. You become dangerous. Because now, everything you do is for you. Not for validation, not for revenge, not for their attention. You move like a ghost in daylight. You appear when you choose. You vanish when you decide. It's not that you feel nothing. It's that you refuse to waste what you feel on people who wouldn't piss on you if you were on fire. It's not that you're heartless. It's that your heart is no longer up for rent. They don't get to know your plans. They don't get to hear your struggles. They don't get to taste your victories. Every door they once had a key to is welded shut. And here's the truth. Once you master not caring, you stop losing sleep over things that used to keep you up for weeks. You stop replaying conversations in your head. You stop scripting the perfect comeback. You stop needing the last word. The last word is silence, and silence is lethal. People hate when you stop caring because it exposes how little they matter. Their drama can't touch you, their validation can't bribe you, their absence can't break you. They become powerless in a game they used to dominate. That's when you realize you've been free the whole time. You just kept handing them the chains. Now, the chains are broken, and you're not sticking around to explain why. When you stop caring, you stop bleeding for unworthy causes. You stop begging for scraps from people who couldn't survive a day in your pain. You stop watering dead plants. You stop letting people rent space in your head without paying in loyalty. You cut them off mid-sentence. You walk out mid-game. You hang up mid-lie. You don't even give them the decency of a dramatic exit. You just vanish. And the best part? You never look back. Because once you stop caring, you realize looking back is just another way of handing them your time. And your time is now war treasure. Protected, guarded, untouchable. You don't care who they talk to. You don't care what they say. You don't care if they win the little battles they're still fighting in their heads, because you've already won the war by leaving the battlefield. So here's the final truth. They can't hurt you if you don't give them the weapon. They can't reach you if you've cut the rope. They can't break you if you've already made yourself unbreakable. You become untouchable when you don't care. Not because you've lost your heart, but because you've finally learned who actually deserves it.